Hi everybody, welcome to Tim's Final Confessions. I'm Tim Durling, and thanks for watching this episode. It's going to be a quick one. It's going to be a review episode of an album that hasn't been out for too long. Another great album from sort of the, revitalized Cheap Trick, In Another World. They've been kind of on a roll since 2016 with Bang Zoom Crazy Hello. The year after that, they released We're All Right. Then they released the Christmas album. Yes, Christmas is the name of it. And I thought they were going to get on quite a roll with that, like an album a year, just like they were when they first started. They didn't, but 2021, that's not bad. As a matter of fact, the first song on here, The Summer Looks Good on You, classic, Summer Girls and classic Cheap Trick sound on that one. That song's actually been out for 2 or 3 years, and I remember thinking, okay, we're going to get a new album any day now, but for whatever reason, it just came out not too long ago. That's a classic Cheap Trick opener. Let's take a look at the packaging here. I mean, it's not much for packaging. It's got the checkerboard thing on it, which is pretty typical. This one is, well, they put it out themselves, but it's got BMG distribution this time on it. That's the band, of course, as they have been for the last few years, with Dax Nielsen capably handling drums. Quit Waking Me Up's a kind of a fun, I hate to say Beatlesque, because it's, so much of their stuff leans on the Beatles as far as harmony. As a matter of fact, it reminds me of something from the latest Alice Cooper album, Detroit Stories, for the same reason. This is the inner booklet here, which actually I think I prefer this as the actual cover. This is a little disorienting, but anyway, I'm not going to complain about the packaging too much. The album is good. It's got all lyrics in it, and, once again, produced by Julian Raymond with the band. He's been, the guy that's been really helping them get the albums out and getting them sounding really good. Like, the albums are all very, very well produced. Cheap Trick were guilty of indulging in, the production of the day back in the 80s and things like that, but their last few albums have been really, really good. Another World, the quasi-title song, really, really nice ballad, and we hear more about that in a little bit. Boys and Girls and Rock and Roll, The Party, Final Days, So It Goes, nice slow one. Light Up the Fire is kind of the first official single they put out, just prior to this album coming out. That is a really cool rock song. Passing Through, Here's Looking at You. They reprise Another World as a ballad, which is kind of cool because I ripped a thing to my computer, I'm listening to it, and this song comes on, I'm like, oh, that's really nice. And it's like, this melody kind of sounds familiar. These lyrics sound very familiar. I'm like, it's the same song. So they decided to do that. But when you put 13 songs in an album, you can get away with that. I'll See You Again is good, and then Gimme Some Truth is a John Lennon cover, which is definitely not the first time they've covered the Beatles or solo songs by the Beatles. I believe that they put a single out for Gimme Some Truth as a record store day thing. Could be wrong about that. It's hard to keep up with all this stuff, honestly. But another good, solid Cheap Trick album, and really there can't be enough of good, solid albums by veteran bands. Sadly, most of these things don't get noticed, the record buying public. It's up to the fans to get the word out and, kind of beat the drum for these guys. And I know this, for a lot of people, Cheap Trick are a band that they just consistently come back to. And really, like I said, they've been on a roll. Bang Zoom Crazy Hello, which I believe I did a review episode for. Still probably the best of the comeback albums. In other words, since they got Dax in the band and they started making new music again, the whole Bunny Carlos saga. We're All Right was all right, and the Christmas album was what it was. It was fine for what it was. But this may end up, the more I listen to it, this may end up tying with Bang Zoom Crazy Hello for being equally good. So if you're a Cheap Trick fan, you'll like it. If you're just a fan of good old rock and roll, like 70s era rock and roll, and you've never really checked Cheap Trick out, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Robin Zander sounds as good as he ever did. At least he does on the record itself. There's some really heavy songs on here. There's some really poppy songs on here. It's a typical Cheap Trick album, and it's a good one. So I would recommend checking this out. Cheap Trick, In Another World. That's my 2 cents on it. What do you all think? Thanks for watching Tim's Final Confessions.